The microphone is not working right now. Yes.
From their side?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Taiwan-Africa Enterprise Forum. Today, we have some honorable guests and speakers. We would like to introduce and welcome. Please give them a round of applause in introducing Mr. James C.F. Huang, Chairman of TAITRA. Ms. Lindy Wei Kunene, Consular of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Ms. Bambe, First Secretary of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Honorable Mr. Saraki Matebe, Representative of the Liaison Office of South Africa. Ms. Sibongile Mabasa, Deputy Representative of the Liaison Office of South Africa. Ms. Julie Zhou, Secretary of the Nigeria Trade Office in Taiwan. Honorable Mr. Mohammed Omar Haji Mohammed, Representative of Somaliland Representative Office in Taiwan. His Excellency Ali Yang, Director General, Department of West Asian and African Affairs, MOFA. Mr. Guan Zhili, Deputy Director General, Bureau of Foreign Trade, MOE. Mr. Richard Lin, Director of the Africa-Taiwan Economic Forum. Mr. Jeff Sun, President of the Taiwan-Africa Business Association. Mr. Mike Hong, Chairman of Taiwan-Africa Industry Development Association. Mr. Hui-Li Chiu, Executive Director, Markets Development Department, TAITRA. We will now welcome our 7 online speakers for this afternoon, and they will join us later. Thank you to all our distinguished guests. Now, let's welcome Mr. James C.F. Huang, Chairman of TAITRA, to deliver a welcome remark for us.
Distinguished guests, dear friends from Africa, our speakers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to start by thanking all of you who shared a profound commitment to expanding the business opportunities and deepening the economic relationship between our countries. I also thank our co-host, Atif, for co-organizing this seminar, as well as TAPA and TAITA, for the close cooperation that we have enjoyed for many years. And I'd also like to welcome all our friends and partners online from across Africa for joining today's event. Africa is the world's largest free trade area and represents a 1.3 billion person market. It is exciting to see the African continent creating an entirely new development path and harnessing the potential of its resources and people. It is most unfortunate that the COVID-19 pandemic is currently hitting the continent so hard and will in 2020 push back the region into its first reception in 25 years. However, international business observers still regard Africa as a major future economic growth engine of the world due to its continued digitalization and stronger regional integration, which can help ensure that Africa is strong enough to fight back from the COVID-induced recession. As Africa continues to grow, Taiwanese companies are responding to Africa's call for investment because they understand the potential benefits of this opportunity. Taiwanese companies are eager to work hand in hand together with local communities and businesses to reach a win-win situation. TAITRA will support the expansion of the Taiwanese companies in Africa through the efforts of our branch offices. This will mean deepening the understanding of the characteristics and cultures of African countries and establishing long-term partnerships with them. Since Taiwan has successfully controlled COVID-19 within its borders and has made strong efforts to assist other countries in limiting the spread of the pandemic, on July 6, we held a virtual seminar on how to combat the coronavirus with participants from Taiwan and across Africa. In attendance was a total of 361 health officials and medical personnel from 13 African countries. TAITRA has also established the Taiwan Global Anti-Pandemic Pavilion to integrate useful information on pandemic prevention, such as top COVID-19 response suppliers of hospital equipment and Taiwan's experience of effectively preventing the spread of COVID-19. The examples above strongly demonstrate Taiwan's humanitarian spirit embodied in the slogan, "Taiwan can help." We were very pleased to hear that on November 3rd, 181 parliamentarians from 29 African countries founded the Africa Formosa Club to show their support for commonly shared values with Taiwan, such as a hope for a better life and continued economic development. Once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us today, and I wish you all the best and a very fruitful day of meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huang. Now, we'd like to welcome Honorable Mr. Saraki Matebe, representative of the Liaison Office of South Africa, to say a few words for us.
Program Director, leadership of TAITRA, the leadership of MOFA, Minister of Foreign Affairs, my fellow African diplomatic representatives, members of the business in Taiwan, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank the host, TAITRA, for hosting this very important event also welcoming our fellow Africans across through virtual correspondence who are participating in this very important event. We happen to have this event in the year when we are faced with serious challenges, but we always know that chaos sometimes brings opportunities. We have convenient inconvenience. We happen to have these challenges when we are in the land of technology, Taiwan. COVID-19 has paralyzed the economy of the world and every livelihood of people across the world. But we happen to be fortunate enough to be where the solution is. We managed to reach our people across the world through electronic or virtual communication to still do the business as normal, regardless of non-warm bodies being around us here. But we still share a lot. And we have learned a lot from this challenge that we can do more with very little, to use technology to reach the world, to promote trade and investment between Taiwan and Africa. Taiwan's economy has done very well, and it has, as an example for handling the COVID-19 well, I think many of the countries will learn from it, because the recession which the Honorable James Wang was talking about due to COVID-19, we are going to need double efforts to do business with Africa, to invest in Africa, to assist Africa, to reach Africa. Africa is the second fastest developing continent or region in the world after Asia. There's a lot that we can learn from each other. It has got the youngest population, where we can see that Africa is continent of the future. We are rich with natural resources. We are rich with human resource. If we partner together, we can produce the world and build a better world for all who live in it. When I'm speaking just like now, we have been actually apart with my neighbor, Ambassador Dlamini, and Representative Mohammed from Nigeria, because of this condition. And we hope to meet very soon. As we are talking now, I would like to encourage our fellow Africans to strengthen relations, to strengthen business cooperation with Taiwan, and use this technology to do some trade and investment. And with these few words, I would like to welcome my fellow African participant to this event, and I wish you well in your deliberations, and I hope something comes out in this, from this. I thank the organizers, I thank everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matebe. Our next guest, His Excellency Mr. Ali Yang, Director General, Department of West Asian and African Affairs, MOFA, to enlighten us on African affairs.
Honorable Mr. James Huang, Chairman of TAITRA, Ambassador Siraki Matebe, Representative of South Africa, Ambassador Muhammad Haj Mahmoud, Representative of Republic of Somaliland, Madame Lindaway Kunene from the Kingdom of Swatini, Deputy Director Mr. Lee from the Foreign Trade Bureau of Economic Affairs Ministry, our friend Mike Hong, Chairman of African Taiwan Industrial Development Association, Mr. Jeff Sun, Chairman of the TAPA, and also our partner, Mr. Dr. Richard Lin of Taiwan-Africa Economic Forum, distinguished guests, African business leaders online, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's my privilege to attend today's event. I'm so impressed that so many distinguished guests and business leaders participate in today's event. So, despite all the barriers caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I sincerely welcome all of you on board. As we all know, Africa is the second largest continent in the world, covered 30 million square kilometers. With 1.2 billion population, Africa is blessed with a young workforce and rich natural resources. For the last few years, Africa enjoys an average of 5.5% of economic growth, make Africa one of the fastest growing area in the world. The newly established African continent free trade area will further provide an opportunity to African countries for broaden economic inclusion and make African countries even more competitive. The government of the ROC Taiwan attaches great importance to the relations with the African countries. So our president, Madam Tsai Ing-wen, put forward the African project, asking relevant government agencies to promote our relations with African countries, especially in areas such as trade investment, public health, human resources development, energy, infrastructure, agriculture, aquaculture, ICT, and etc. Taiwan government, in partnership with the private sector, will spare no effort to enhance our relations with the African countries in these areas in the years ahead. 2020 is a year full of challenges and drastic changes. With the spread of COVID-19 pandemic worldwide, cross-border business activities, in-person meetings, schoolings, and many commercial activities has been affected by the pandemic. So we are so glad to see, we are happy to see this today's event. I believe through today's conference, both sides, business leaders from Taiwan and Africa will exchange ideas and thoughts and discuss how we can handle the difficulties and how we can seize the opportunities might be created from the new normal. So I'm looking forward to listening to the insights from the business leaders from Taiwan and Africa. I'm confident with our joint effort, we could achieve more and bring the trade and the investment ties between Taiwan and Africa to new heights. In closing, I want to thank TAITRA and ARTIF for their effort in organizing today's event, bring us together and share views together. I wish all participants, all distinguished guests, good health and every success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Now, we'd like to welcome Mr. Guan Zhili, Deputy Director General, Bureau of Foreign Trade, MOE, to inform us on bilateral trade.
Honorable representatives from South Africa, from Kingdom of Eswatini, from Somaliland, from Nigeria, and the organizer, the representative from TAITRA, from ATEF, from TAITRA, and also from the TABA, and all the organizers. A very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very delighted on behalf of Bureau of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Economic Affairs, Taiwan, has this opportunity to attend today's Africa-Taiwan Enterprise and Business Forums. Today, especially thanks the speakers online from the various countries in Africa. And we understand Africa right now is in the heartland of the global economic development. And we strongly believe in the very near future, Africa will also be the center land of the global economic development. So what we can provide and what we can offer to our bilateral collaborations, I can show you from the total export volumes from January to October this year. Taiwan is one of the very few countries in the world still show the positive figures about our export. And I believe all these efforts done by our business communities and also government sectors also try very hard to pave the ways and also remove all the existing trade barriers. So we still be very confident about the future trade relations with our major trading partners in Africa. So I believe through today's discussion and online presentations, we can have a better understanding of the current economic and the market situations. Today is especially this year, we suffer from the COVID pandemic. But I think through the joint effort, Taiwan already showed the strength and all the possible outcomes that the government can unite the private sector together and also focus on the providing and the manufacturing all the related product technologies for anti-pandemic. In the future, we believe this will be a very important platform for our collaboration with African countries. Through the manufacturing in Taiwan, how can we better supply all the potential medical, healthcare, and all the anti-pandemic related products and the technology to Africa? In addition, Taiwan's development in the ICT sectors, in the telecommunications sectors, and also our strengths in the infrastructures, and also in the human talent cultivations, and all the economic development experiences that we can, and also we'll be very happy to share with our African partners what is the possible and the reasonable path for economic development. So we understand that the regional economic integrations happens in every region of this continent. And we treasure the relations with our African countries and the partners. Most important, we need to unite together and also to find all the possible solutions to cope with the existing trade potential barriers. So the geographical distance is very far, but we believe the psychological distance, we are very close. And through the online, we think everything is possible. So let's find more new normals for our future economic, trade, investment, and collaborations. Today is also very thank the organizer, TAITRA, and all the related Taiwan-African business associations for their great contribution. When the pandemic subsides, Ministry of Economic Affairs Taiwan will collaborate with foreign ministries and organize more business delegations and investment delegations to Africa, and also to find more potential business and the collaboration opportunities. With that, I wish this afternoon's online discussion will be a very successful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Now, we are calling on all our distinguished guests to join us on stage for a group photo. Please take off your masks for the seconds. Thank you, all distinguished guests. Now, may we ask our guests on stage to please be seated at the VIP area. In today's seminar, we will have 7 speakers from 7 African countries. They are from Eswatini, South Africa, Nigeria, Somaliland, Egypt, Algeria, and Kenya. The first speaker of the seminar today is from Eswatini, Mr. Bongani Mshangase, Senior Manager, Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, IPA. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mshangase.
Thank you, Program Director. Ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity to acknowledge Mr. James Wang, who is the chairman of TAITRA. May I also acknowledge my councillor, Lindiwe, from the Kingdom of Eswatini, Honorable Matsepe, from the representative of the Liaison Office of South Africa, Ms. Bongle Mabasa, who's also from Deputy Representative from the Office of Liaison Office of South Africa, Ms. Julie Chow, Secretary of the Nigerian Trade Office, Mr. Omahagi Mohammed, Representative of Somaliland, Mr. Ali Yang, Director General of the Department of West African Affairs, Mr. Guan Li, Deputy Director from the Bureau of Trade, Mr. Richard Lin, Director of Africa Economic Forum, Mr. Jeff San, President of the Africa-Taiwan Economic Forum, Mr. Mike Wang, who is also the Chairman of the Taiwan-Africa Industry Development. I greet you all with my warmest greetings from Africa. As I have been introduced, my name is Bongani Njangase from Eswatini Investment Promotion. I am making this presentation from the Kingdom of Eswatini. I will now switch on to my presentation, which is a PowerPoint presentation. It shouldn't take long. My presentation will be looking at business trends in Eswatini in the post-COVID-19 era, as it is our area of interest. I must state first that COVID-19 has got its challenges, but also there are a lot of positive aspects of it that we need to appreciate. Particularly because it has forced business to, have a paradigm shift from the traditional way of doing things to more innovative and technology-based approaches. Business has now been forced, to embrace virtual economy and also appreciate the digital market. When you're talking about markets in the post-COVID era, you're not just looking at markets, as we know, in the geographic sense, but there's a whole virtual economy where you can do business without physical limitations. COVID-19 also introduced a lot of efficiencies in doing business, a lot of cost reductions, which resulted in increased productivity. Now, when you talk about productivity, it's also, targeted because you're targeting a particular region. You're targeting, supplies that have already been secured through online platforms. We, as the Kingdom of Eswatini as well, we have launched certain initiatives that are meant to address, COVID-19 in terms of doing business and trading. The first one being the Trade Information Portal, Eswatini Trade Information Portal.com. This is a portal where you get to find information on how to do business in Eswatini. It gives you all the procedural information, it gives you all the regulatory information, gives you a list of all the different compliance requirements that you need. So all you just have to do is just go to Eswatini Trade Portal.com. That is where you find a lot of information. If you are importing or exporting into and out of Eswatini, for example, you get all the forms that you need on that portal. The tax requirements, tax compliance issues, what are the different types of taxes that you need to pay as you do business in Eswatini. We also ran, just 2 weeks ago, we were running our first virtual trade fair, which we did not have a physical exhibition as it used to be. But this time around, it was a virtual exhibition online. We had some companies from Taiwan that were participating as well. Special thanks to TAITRA, who managed to secure some IT companies that were exhibiting. We had a number of companies from Eswatini that were exhibiting online. So this is a trend that is picking up to say, you no longer need to physically go there now, but through virtual technology and virtual platforms, you can do your exhibitions, you can do your sales online. Another initiative that we launched just about a month ago is the BuyEswatini.com platform. The BuyEswatini.com platform is an online shopping mall that is meant to host all businesses that are registered and operating in the Kingdom of Eswatini, regardless whether it's an indigenous or not business, but you are allowed to operate on BuyEswatini. So for all your goods, services, and commodities that are available and produced from Eswatini, you just go to buyeswatini.com, you will get to see what we have as a country. So you no longer need to, stretch your hand trying to find, maybe contact a particular organization, who can I talk to in Eswatini? All this information is uploaded and we are continuing to update it. Will be uploaded on buyeswatini.com. Now, also what I would want to share with the student in today's session is that we, as the Kingdom of Eswatini, also launched a post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan. The post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan is saying what investments and what are the initiatives that we can undertake from a business perspective that will help to stimulate growth, economic growth, that will help to stabilize the country after COVID-19 or even during the time of the pandemic. We have a number of private sector-led investment opportunities, even some that are government-related projects, to the tune of $2 billion in total. We have about 4 projects that are focused on tourism. We're looking for these are investment opportunities that anyone can take advantage of. Under tourism, 4 projects amounting to $30 million. Under the agriculture sector, we have identified 21 projects that you can invest in or that you can also be part of to the tune of $340 million. Under infrastructure development, we have already identified 16 projects to the tune of $250 million. Under wholesale and retail, we have 6 projects to the tune of $140 million. Under manufacturing, we've got about 22 projects to the tune of $410 million. Under energy, the energy sector, we have calculated 9 projects to the tune of $235 million. In the textile industry, we have about 6 projects that we have identified to the tune of $75 million. And we also have got some government-driven projects to the tune of $440 million. These projects have already been identified, quantified, due diligence has been done. The project plans have already been set up and the estimated values calculated. At this point in time, we are soliciting investments or business companies that are interested in taking up these projects. Because my presentation is only 10 minutes, what I'll do is at the end of this presentation, I will share the full economic recovery plan with the organizers, with TAITRA, so that all the participants can have advantage of. We have also appointed a special delivery unit that is reporting to a cabinet subcommittee on investment, which reports directly to the Prime Minister, that is meant to prioritize these projects. So these projects are part of our post-19 economic recovery plan, which we are implementing as the Kingdom of Eswatini. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I will end there for the moment with just one emphasis to say, I will share the detailed report on all these projects so that if you're interested in taking up any of these projects, you can also, get hold of them, have more information on them, be in contact with myself as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mshangase. Our next speaker is from South Africa, Mr. Paul Savadus, Chairman of Machine Tool Merchants Association, MTMA. Now, let's welcome Mr. Savadus.
To the chairperson, all members of trade councils, representatives of liaison officers, African industry representatives, good morning and thank you for the invitation to participate. The current worldwide pandemic has just hastened the call to arms and has accelerated the particular course of action we need to take to secure an economic future for all on the African continent. Our president has 2 very distinctly different jobs, being one, the president of South Africa, which is the economic driving force in sub-Saharan Africa, responsible for more than 27.5% of all African imports. He is also the head of the African Union, which needs to become an economic driving force in the world. Although the land looks barren and dry, the African continent has a lot of untapped resources to offer the world. So what it needs is the same solid investment in strategy that other industrialized countries and continents have followed. This will enrich the experience and ensure the continent grows to its full potential. It's time to remember where you come from. You did not start where you are now, but you started your industrialized journey a long time ago. When other countries or economies bring their expertise to the occasion of Africa's industrialization, it is incumbent on them to remember where they come from. Do not push your current world advantage into places without consulting how to introduce it thoughtfully, carefully, and systematically. In order for you to do this, I offer you a practical value proposition. Innovation and sophisticated will mean a lot of complex new ideas that require a great deal of experience, knowledge, and original creative thinking. On the contrary, conservative and practical means being concerned with the actual use rather than theory and ideas, probably implying being somewhat averse to change or innovation. Yet, getting started with creating a solid base will be more practical and valuable. Only then can we move along the continuum. By way of example, a company like BMW hope and try to move you from their customers along their product line from 3 series to 5 series to 7 series. We hope to grow our continent in the same way. In conclusion, I would like to repeat my position that everything has to be done thoughtfully, carefully, and systematically. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Savadas. Our third speaker is from Nigeria, Mr. Ambassador Ayula Olukani, Director General, Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NACIMA. Now, please welcome Mr. Olukani.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank the Taiwanese authorities for this invitation. First, let me just stand on existing protocols and recognize all our distinguished participants and representatives from Africa, and also our counterparts and collaborators from Taiwan as well. It's a pleasure. I feel highly honored to be part of this. We've been working closely, of course, with Taiwan, for a long period, and a lot of business cooperation we've had. And of course, like it has been said by participants, COVID-19 has introduced a new direction. I will be very brief, and I will request the engineers to please kindly help me share my presentation, which is going to be very brief, because definitely, please kindly let's have the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation. The title, of course, is Business Trends in Africa in the Post-COVID Era. Can I have the first slide, please? Essentially, well, if we are having any technical problem, let me first say that the impact of COVID-19 in Africa itself has been the subject of so many discussions. The subject, Let me have the next slide, please. The next slide. The next slide. Well, okay. This is one of the studies which was conducted assessing the impact of COVID-19, on Africa's economic development, and that's the reference point. It was an African Union study which shows the impact of COVID-19 across Africa. And I don't really want to waste time talking about the figures in terms of what exactly has happened. It has impacted on lives and livelihoods. Can I have the next slide, please? The next slide as well. Well, this is also one of the things which we did in terms of our own national service, in terms of impact of COVID-19 on the private sector. It was really huge. A large number of businesses were shut down, and it was a real big problem for us. And what this did was to come up with, the government came up with an economic sustainability plan, an ESP, across the various sectors. The first thing we did, of course, was to set up a COVID-19 fund, 50 billion naira, thereabout, to support SMEs and all of us as part of action. I mean, can we move on, please? The next slide. One of the areas which, of course, impacted on was that the survey was conducted. That is the link for the survey. The survey was conducted to show that the greatest impact was on women-owned businesses. Women-owned businesses was seriously impacted upon, close to about 60 or 70%. And when efforts were being made to support them to recover, we discovered that a lot of the women could not even make use of online facilities which we have. So that's one of the impact. We did this with a company, we also did with some members of the private sector. And so for us in Nigeria, the women-owned businesses is a very, very important area we're looking at as part of our post-COVID recovery effort. Let's have the next slide. The next slide then. The next slide, of course, talks about the crisis. Well, as far as the impact is concerned, food security is one of the areas, because a lot of our people, a lot of farmers could not go to farm. The food value chain, transportation was also impacted. The next slide. Well, of course, these are the figures. As far as aviation industry service concerned, revenue, of course, was the projected was 830 billion in 2019. And then the projection was that these revenues would hit up to 872 billion in 2000. But many countries, of course, we know what has happened. Most of the aircraft, most of the airlines are struggling to survive. And like IATA has projected that COVID-19 could seriously disrupt the industry and cause a loss of about 113 billion. The impact on Africa, of course, is there. And that is, of course, we know that as far as Africa is concerned, the aviation sector is key and very important, especially at the period when the AFCTA is being done. The next slide, please. The next slide. Well, the tourism sector, these are the figures from the WTO itself in terms of what has the impact, So almost 1/3 of the US monthly projected in 2019, of course, cannot be achieved. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Well, what do you want to do? Because the question is not just describing the problems. The key issue is what's to be done now. Technology is key. And that's one of the things we're doing in Nigeria in terms of application of technology to business these days. Electronic business, in terms of teleconferencing, business-to-business relations, using the new digital normal. That's one of the ways which, of course, what we are working on. The second, of course, is finding innovative ways to cut costs, telecommunicating. Now look at us here now. Last year, I remember that many of our colleagues were, of course, in Taiwan. They traveled, but with the restrictions, we can't. But we found innovative way to be able to reach each other and continue the dialogue on how to improve on trade relations between Taiwan as well as Africa. Next slide, please. Well, of course, this is it. Switching and modifying supply chains to focus more on locally available materials. This is one of the things which is happening now. And that is why we are requesting that our Taiwanese colleagues and others should please look into the possibility of, at the end of the day, what should happen is that the possibility of joint venture, so that a lot of companies, a lot of businesses can be established using the large number of resources which we have in Africa. I think this is one of the new ways we should go. The next slide, please. The next slide. Well, in summary, as national output grows, inflation, unemployment is rising, African businesses are leveraging on technology to improve their supply chains and value chains, to reduce cost and increase revenue. This is one of the key areas which of course we are looking at. And as in National Chambers of Commerce, we are already working on that. Well, this is NACIMA. NACIMA, of course, is the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. We're composed of city chambers, state chambers, bilateral chambers. But the beauty of it is national. We are all over the country in the rural areas and every place, which means there's a platform in terms of what's to be done as far as the post-recovery and recovery from COVID-19 crisis itself is concerned. Can I have the next slide, please? The next slide. The last slide. Well, what can NACIMA do for you? This is it. We do have a market access database in terms of what exactly can be done, which sectors, we are in the key sectors of the Nigerian economy. Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, and these are huge places. The mining sector is a huge area, yet waiting to be tapped. We can also, of course, help to organize trade exhibitions, B2B meetings, and also provide access to creditable partners in terms of recovery, and also in terms of Taiwanese businesses and others who are key to come into the system, as well. Can I have the last slide? The next slide, please. Well, this is also what we can do for you too as well. Well, at the end of the day, I think the point has been made by the director from the Bureau in terms of the foreign trade, that indeed, for us in Africa, the potential is huge. Africa is the country of the future, the young people, the resources. I serve as a Nigerian career diplomat for 35 years, in which I served in New York, the permission of Nigeria to the UN. I served 4 years in Nairobi in Kenya. I also was in Israel, and of course, Vienna, before I was appointed as ambassador and posted to Australia, covering New Zealand, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and Vanuatu. And the point is been made in all these places where I worked as well before this position, that indeed Africa is the continent of the future. Africa is the next hub as far as becoming the growth and engine of development of the global economy. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunities. I'm sure we'll be able to continue our conversation through both with TAITRA as well as the representative of Taiwan who are here, and also our representative office that are also in Taipei. I wish all of us successful deliberation, and we look forward to the possibility of concretizing the abstractions in terms of our discussion and business relations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Olukani. Our next speaker is from Somaliland, Mr. Abdul Rashid Hussein, Director of International Relations, Somaliland Chamber of Commerce. Now, let's welcome Mr. Hussein.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm very honored to have all dignitaries from Taiwan. My name is Abdul Rashid Hussein from Somaliland Chamber of Commerce, and I'm very honored to be here today and very happy to work with you guys and make my presentation. So just to start, from the Chamber of Commerce, I'm the Director of International Relations with Somaliland Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Somaliland, go to the next slide. Okay. Just to give you a brief background about the Chamber of Commerce. Somaliland Chamber of Commerce was established in 1993 as an independent entity owned by the business community that is independent from government. So the Chamber of Commerce was formed in 1993 as an independent entity owned by the business community. Our vision is to strive and forge new bonds of commercial cooperations and opportunities between Somaliland and the rest of the world. So as a chamber, as a business entity, we look forward to forging and striving new bonds with the frontiers such as Taiwan. Our mission is to offer guidance and assistance in all types of business, be it exporters and importers, local and international arena. We give information, market information, we provide trainings and organization. We do organize trade events, and this is a very good area that we can really work in. So Somaliland and all dignitaries, these are areas that we do. Our membership is open to all business parties engaged in trade activities, both local and international areas. So from the local companies are also encouraged. At the same time, we encourage so much in Somaliland international investors to come and invest in our country. I would like to go to the next slide. The next area, that the services that are provided by the chamber, we have agriculture services, we have livestock services, we have industrial services, general trade, and service sector. If I may talk about livestock, Somaliland GDP, 60% of the GDP of Somaliland relies on livestock. So we do export livestock to different countries, whereby we reap a lot of benefits. And just to add, it's an area that is very prime and virgin. It's an area that we can work with other esteemed colleagues who are interested. Agriculture in our country is very prime. We have 850 kilometers of seashore. So we have all those species of fish in our country. We have industries in our country, and it's an area that is really coming up. We do offer general trade, and then we offer also services. So I'll go to the next slide. I would like to talk about the topic today in terms of pre-COVID and post-COVID. So what are the issues that happened before the COVID-19? And what are the issues that are really, in terms of business, happening now after COVID? In terms of livestock sectors, we have the livestock sector. And under the livestock sector, before COVID, we had strong dependence on export of livestock. We do export this livestock to Gulf countries. We export livestock to, all those countries that are our neighbors. Right now, with COVID coming, there has been a ban on export of livestock because of that movement restriction. So this is an area where Somaliland is very strong. We are strong in livestock, and we have a lot of different species, goat, sheep, camels, and all that kind of thing. So it's a very strong area in our country. Another area is the remittance flow. Somaliland has a lot of Somaliland diaspora globally who used to send monthly and weekly flow of cash before COVID. Now with the COVID, there is a decrease in flow of remittance. There is a decrease in flow of remittance, whereby Somalilanders in other countries are facing this challenge of COVID, and cash flow is not flowing as strong as it was before. The next point I would like to talk about is movement internationally for trade. All over the world, we have seen before COVID, it was easy to access any country with aviation, domestic and international flights. Somaliland has, before COVID, there was ease of travel, there was all that kind of international flights coming in and out of the country. Now with the lockdown and issues to do with movement, there is limited access. I would say our country is open, but some flights have, faced some sort of delays and that kind of thing. So, but still, international flights are coming into the country. We are following all the protocols that are needed within the COVID framework. Another point that I would like to talk about is the port services. Somaliland has efficient, effective, and reliable port services. And, we have that big company, DP World, that has invested into the port services in Somaliland. So with this COVID, we are seeing a bit of slowdown in other port destinations as a barrier. The port of Berbera in Somaliland is open for business, but sometimes we may face some delays with other ports who are under lockdown or under restriction. But our port is, very efficient, reliable, and it's very accessible. So that's another area. Another area I would like to talk about is the import and export of goods and services. Before COVID, it was quite easy. Availability and supply chain was very easy. Now with the global COVID pandemic, in terms of import and export of goods, we are facing some sort of delays in the value chain. The final point on that slide that I would like to present is the market on daily basis. We depended on market both locally and internationally in terms of all those goods and services. Now there's a lot of reliance and dependency on the local market because of the movement restrictions and issues to do with the COVID-19. Go to the next slide, please. Go to the next slide. In terms of the next slide is, I would like now to really dive down and look at the business trends in Somaliland post-COVID-19. What are the trends that we are seeing in Somaliland now that there is COVID-19? The trends that we are seeing is in Somaliland, mobile banking. Somaliland has a very vibrant mobile banking sector. Also, Somalilanders buy goods using mobile banking. So we have different platforms called ZAD service, e-Dahab. We have the POS while paying for goods and services. So the trend that we are seeing right now is that people are people are using mobile banking much more than ever before in Somaliland. Next is digitalization and automation of business. The services are accessible digitally. For example, right now there was the closure of schools. Then Somaliland private sector came up with ideas. They said, now that the children are at home, students, let's use online learning. So we are seeing digitalization of business services. So they came up with online services, and this was able to remedify the problem. Another area is we are seeing a trend in Somaliland is the entry of new products. Businesses have invented new products such as apps for ease of services. Before COVID, people were relying on, people were not thinking so much, out of the box. Now in Somaliland, people are creating apps, and these apps are helping in terms of ease of services. For example, globally, there is the app that talks about Uber, and we came up with a local app that is called in Somali language, Doweye, which was formed by one of the telecommunication companies, very reliable and efficient. So in case you're in Somaliland and you want to navigate from one area to another one, it's easy to use that app. And other apps that are coming in, young people are really thinking. Another area is diversification of business, new business ventures such as personal delivery of goods anywhere. In the old days, somebody could drive his car and go to the shop to buy goods. Now you just need to sit in the comfort of your home and ask for any delivery to be brought to your home. So we are seeing young people. Somaliland has a lot of young people. 70% of the population is young people. So they're using new business ventures and deliver goods to your home anywhere. New ways of working are coming, of course. COVID-19 has proved that you can work from anywhere. Today, working from home and using all these facilities. So even in Somaliland, people are embracing working from home. They're embracing new products. That's an area that's coming up as a trend. We're seeing broadening of the supply chain and demand, emergence of new markets and frontiers. Initially, some of the goods we used to purchase as a country from certain areas, but right now, with the emergence of new markets and frontiers, we are working with Taiwan, we are working with other countries, and this is an area that the supply chain for our country is really open for emergence of new markets. And I would like also finally to talk about the emergence of new courses research within the education sector. In Somaliland, what we are seeing due to the pandemic, people have now started, like thinking out of the box. Instead of doing the traditional courses of business studies or whatever, people are now joining medicine, but not only medicine, they are looking at how can we, even as a country, discover the vaccine for COVID-19. We are seeing that young people in universities are coming up with all that kind of ideas. So on that note, I would like to really thank the participants who have given us the opportunity to be here. And I take the presidency to really thank you for giving Somaliland Chamber an opportunity to be part of these discussions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Our next speaker is from Egypt, Mr. Mohammed Youssef, Executive Director of Egyptian Businessmen's Association. He would like to say hi for everyone first. However, because of bad connection, we will play his video later. Now, please welcome Mr. Mohammed Youssef.
Thanks a lot. First of all, I would like to welcome such a very distinguished gathering, and it's really honor and pleasure for me to be among such prominent people. I would like to thank Mr. James, Chairman of TAITRA, for giving me this opportunity, and also I would like to thank Taiwan Trade Center here in Egypt, that we are working closely together, and we had a very fruitful cooperation. As my colleague mentioned, I already had recorded my presentation and my speech, but I just want to give a small introduction before starting my presentation. We all know that Egypt passed through a very exceptional decade. It started with two revolutions, ended by COVID-19, which really very challenging position for Egypt. But with the belief of the government and the political leader of Egypt, and with the belief of the people of Egypt that are capable to be sustained and flourish again our economy, the Egyptian government was to keep the balance between keeping the economy wheel moving forward during COVID, and also take the precautions to keep the health of the people and reduce the impact of the COVID to the minimal numbers. I believe at that time, the government took necessary actions regarding postponing the collection of the tax and the social insurance. The banking sector postponed the collection of the interest fee for credit installments, and also postponed the installment of the loans for 6 months. Government paid unemployment subsidy for 6 months for casual workers. And also the presidency at that time urged the government of Egypt to pay any dues to the private sector to support them and to keep them sustained for this tough period. I believe what we do in Egypt those days is considered as one of the wonder, and this is normal, as Egypt have the oldest wonder, world wonder here, as the pyramids. We are now, what we are doing in the last 5 years is one of the wonders. Now allow me to ask my colleagues to start my presentation that had been recorded, and I'm ready to answer any questions that could be raised from the floor.
Good morning. My name is Mohammed Youssef. I'm the Executive Director of Egyptian Businessmen Association. It's really great opportunity and great pleasure for me to give such a brief introduction about Egypt and Egyptian economy. Our presentation title is talk about Egypt, your gateway to the world. Our next slide will give some information about our currency reserve. When you look to the slides, it shows that in 2015, our currency reserve was less than 10 billion US dollar. That's due to the two revolutions that Egypt passed through in last decade. In 2010, we used to have currency reserve almost 40 billion US dollar due to the large amount that we received from tourism, which reached at that time 14 billion US dollar. And we were the first country in African continent to receive foreign direct investment with almost more than 8 billion US dollar. Adding to that our worker remittance and also our stock market exchange. And due to the two revolutions, we lost almost all our currency reserve at that time. What happened after that in the last 5 years, and due to the economic reforms that Egypt started with, we succeed to reach our currency reserve to 45 billion US dollar, which cover 7 months of our import. And we received to revive again our tourism sector, which pumped almost $14 billion again to the our balance of payment at the end of December 2019. And also the worker remittance reached almost 28 billion US dollar at that time. And we become again the first country to receive foreign direct investment in Africa. Due to COVID-19 and due to the stop of flights, stop of tourism sector, our currency reserve declined to 33 billion US dollar, but also in parallel of that, due to the very strong actions that have been taken by the government and the procurement the government took to reduce the negative impact of COVID-19, we succeed to reach now 38 billion US dollar. When it comes to unemployment rate, which is very important, because in 2015, we were all seen 2.9, almost close to 14% unemployment, which means 3.5 or 3.6 million people couldn't find job at that time. And in part of that, Egypt received every year 600,000 to 700,000 people joining the workforce. That means you need to create a job for the 700,000 people, adding to that, trying to absorb a good number from the 3.5 million, which really happened due to the mega project that Egypt started with, and we succeed in early 2020 to reduce the unemployment rate to reach almost 7.9%. Definitely due to some problems for COVID-19, some business have been stopped, some casual business, we know that been stopped, especially in restaurant sector or something like that, which raise again the unemployment rate to reach 2%, but we believe that this number will reduce again. Inflation rate, definitely in 2016, and due to the floating of the Egyptian pound policies that the government had been taken in 2016, we had a huge rate of inflation, reached almost 35% inflation rate in 2016. But also, government was very aggressive to take the necessary action in order to reform its economy and its budget, which help us to reduce our inflation rate to reach in August 2019, reach 7%. And now we are talking about 3.5 to 6%. I know that due to COVID-19, this figure had been raised, reached to 7 to 8%, but we believe that we will succeed to reduce it again. If we go to next slide, Egypt considered as the second largest economy in Arab countries and Africa, and could be the first if we exclude the impact in the economy for oil countries. Also, Egypt succeed to jump, according to World Bank and IFC, 8 places on doing business 2019, and also Egypt succeed to jump from rank 43 in 2018 as a volume of the economy to reach 31 in 2020, number 31. It's a huge jump for the Egyptian economy if you look at the volume of our GDP. Egypt is considered the largest recipient of FDI in Africa and also in MENA region. Next slide. Why Egypt? Why we think about Egypt as a destination for investment and for trade? According to its location, its proximity, Egypt is enjoying a good number of trade agreements with many blocs and countries. Next. We have free trade agreement with COMESA. COMESA, it's a common market for East and South African countries. It's 15 countries with 389 million population, which gives opportunity for any Egyptian commodity, Egyptian origin, to penetrate the 15 countries custom-free, duty-free. We have also free trade agreements with Greater Arab Free Trade Area, GAFTA, with 18 countries, 360 million population. Also, it gives the opportunity for any Egyptian products to penetrate the market of the Arab countries free, custom-free and duty-free. Also, the European Partnership Agreement, same as others. When we go to Agadir Agreement, which an agreement between Morocco, Jordan, Tunisia, Egypt, and through Agadir Agreement, you have the privilege to enjoy the cumulative of origin and to export to European Union. That means if you have a commodity, you produce 10% of the commodity Morocco origin, plus 10% to Jordan, 10% Tunisia, and 10% Egypt, you reach the 40% of the origin that give you the to be able to export this product to EU according to the free trade agreements. That means it's not only Egyptian origin, it's not only Egyptian origin, but you have the privilege of a cumulative of origin between the 4 countries. The free trade agreement is Egypt-Turkey free trade agreements. And also to give you the privilege to export to almost more than 80 million inhabitants in Turkey Also, we have EFTA agreement with 4 countries, Ireland, Norway, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. We signed newly Mercosur agreement. It's in implemented phase. It's not all of our goods, commodities enjoying 100% free trade agreements, but it's gradually phases. We are now in the second phase of the implementation of this trade agreement, which give you an opportunity to penetrate a new market. I believe most of Middle East and Far East countries, which gives them the privilege, if you have an Egyptian origin, to export your products to such top. Also, we are studying and negotiating with Euro-Asian Economic Union, Russia, Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. And it's under negotiation. I believe in 2021, it will be in the apply implementing phase. Also, besides that, before going to Q, are now in negotiation phase for the Pan-African agreements, which a trade agreement between the 55 countries in Africa, which gives the opportunity to any Egyptian product to go to all African continent and enjoying the privilege of the trade agreement give to this product. Also, we have the QIZ agreement, and QIZ agreement is, I believe, one of the very attractive trade agreements for many of foreign direct investment, and many investors came in Egypt to enjoy the quota that Egypt has to export to United States. And I believe this type of agreement could attract a lot in different sectors. There's a huge opportunity beside textile and garments, ready-made garments. There's opportunity for leather and footwear, for glass products, and for some food industries products. If we look at this agreement regarding the rules of origin, which is really something very encouraging and privileged. If we have 11.7% Egyptian origin, besides 10.5% Israeli components, and the 35% can come from different country, from different markets, including West Bank, Gaza Strip, Israel, and Canada. You enjoy the origin and could be exported to the US custom free. Why to invest in Egypt? Definitely, accessibility is very important. We have 15 commercial ports and 20 airports. We have 108 industrial zones and 13 investment zones. And due to the trade agreements that we have the accessibility to 1.6 billion consumers from different countries. Reasons to invest in Egypt: access to a diversified growing economy. And regarding this point, Egypt has been ranked as the country in 28th position in 2020 as a country with a diversifying economy, jumped from 43 in 2019. And I believe this figure also could be enhanced more and more in the coming few years. Because as we know, all experts, all economic institutions expect that Egypt in 2030 will be the 7th largest economy in the world. And such evaluation, it didn't come from nowhere. There is certain criteria that they measure according to this criteria how much Egyptian economy are now very strong and moving forward to better and strong base. We have also a lot of new laws which facilitate the investment and wide spectrum of investment opportunity according to our diversification that we have. We have some competitive advantages, like as we mentioned before, but adding to that, the very reasonable price for our utilities and the availability of it, energy, electricity, water, and good labor with some training could be one of the most reasonable wage labor could take, not only in the Middle East, I believe all over the world. Next slide. What is the key investment sectors? We have ICT, automotive, auto spare parts, smart cities, medical healthcare, and industry. When we talk about smart cities, Egypt is now building 15 new cities, totally smart. New administrative capital is one of these cities that we plan to accommodate a huge good number in this city in the near future. I believe we plan to have from 6 to 7 million inhabitants in the city. The second largest city that we are building is Al Alamein new city. Al Alamein is a model of a complete community, fully integrated together with a huge number of people that plan to resident there. It's overlooking the sea, 17 kilometers overlooking the sea. And the privilege of New Alamein city that already started this year, 2 universities already opened there, and many people started to get their residential houses there, and it's moving very fast. There is a plan to have an agriculture community, plan to have an industrial community there, a lot of complex for manufacture in New Alamein city. And besides that, there will be other 15 new cities will be already in process, and there is in the pipeline, there are more 15 cities will be in the pipeline after the first phase of these cities. It was mentioned that 3 more figures I want to add it. One of it that Egypt every year spend from 50 to 60 billion US dollar in implemented investment. And Egypt, in the budget, its budget, and giving a very high concern to the healthcare and education. We know in budget 2019-2020, we allocate 132 billion Egyptian pound for education and 73 billion pound for healthcare. This amount had been doubled. If you look at education, the 132 billion raised from 97 billion in 2016, which raised by 33%, 36%. If we look at healthcare, raised from 43 billion in 2016 to 73 billion in 2019-2020, which means raised by 70%. Also, Egyptian government give a very high concern to the social security, which come to 270 billion Egyptian pound as a social security, which raised by 44% from 2016. I believe I'm just finishing time. I don't want to talk more. I took the 15 minutes which allocated to me, and I'm ready to answer any question, or if you need something to be more clear, it will be my privilege to share with you.
Chairman of the Blida Chamber of Commerce. Now, let's welcome Mr. Raif.
Hello, everybody. My name is Riyad Amour. I am the president of the Chamber of Commerce of Blida. Blida is a region 50 kilometers west of Algiers. I am also a private investor in the food industry since 1991. I am the second generation of a family business. Algeria is the biggest country of Africa with more than 2.8 million square kilometers, a coastline of more than 1,500 kilometers. It has borders with 7 countries. We are 1 hour away from Europe. Algeria has many natural resources above and underground. Natural gas is our main resources with oil. We are one of the biggest countries exporters of natural gas. We have also natural minerals. We have a network of railroads of more than 5,000 kilometers. We have highways of more than 1,500 kilometers. Good morning, everybody. As everybody knows, the world is suffering from the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. And a country like Algeria is suffering twice because our main resources are gas and oil. And we have seen lately the fall of prices of these 2 main resources. That's why the Algerian government is trying to build some economic resilience and to boost the economic recovery. And it has taken lately some measures. Some measures are direct aids to the small and medium enterprises, and some other measures are related to easing business procedures. But in general, the government is trying to reduce the consumption of our foreign exchange reserves and to promote local production. As of the sectors of cooperation between Taiwanese and Algerian businesses, as I mentioned before, there is household appliances assembly sector. There is also vehicle assembly. There is agriculture, food processing, information technology. There is a woodworking sector, plastic, mechanic, service sector also. All these sectors need parts, they need machineries, they need know-how, they need components, they need raw materials. So if you have all these products, please come to Algeria, because we may need your products or your help in our products. Now, how do you do business with Algerian people? As you do with other countries. You have to be present and you have to showcase your products. Why I say showcase your products? Because usually in Algeria, when we decide to invest, we have some names in our minds. Let's say in my sector, in my company, we are in the food preserves sector. When we decide to buy machinery or equipment, the only country that comes into mind is Italy. I'm sure that in Taiwan you can make similar machines or better machines. Among the attractive sectors you can choose from, agri-food sector, healthcare, hydrocarbon sector, electronics, environment, water, IT also, services. The demand is high and the growth rate is always positive. At the end, I would like to invite you to invest in Algeria and take advantage of this potential and opportunities existing in this beautiful country. And thank you.
Chairman of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KNCCI. Now, please welcome Mr. Mgatia.
Mr. James Wang, Chairman, TAITRA, His Excellency Ambassador Lamini, Embassy of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Mr. Seraki Matsebe, Representative, Liaison Office of South Africa, Mr. Mohammed Omar Mahmoud, Representative Somaliland, Representative of Office in Taiwan, Mr. Ibrahim Okapari Ahmed, Trade Commissioner, Nigeria, Trade Office in Taiwan. I want to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for having me and representing the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry in this virtual meeting on Taiwan-Africa Enterprise Forum on business trends in Africa after COVID-19. I would also want to take this opportunity and on behalf of the Chamber leadership and the Kenyan private sector to sincerely thank the Taiwanese business community, the organizers, and all the industry stakeholders for their commitment and this partnership. We are honored to be in this forum as a private sector leadership, and today we recognize the unprecedented challenges that have been posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact on the global value chains. As private sector leadership, we recognize the joint efforts and measures to contain this crisis globally, We also take this opportunity to express our utmost appreciation to governments, partners, and the frontline health workers globally for their contribution and sacrifice in protecting public health. As we all know, the private sector has a big role and part to play to support the economic recovery process. In this regard, we reaffirm the utmost importance of collaboration at all levels and globally to hasten our fight against COVID-19 and commit to work closely to defeat this pandemic with urgency jointly. This partnership between Africa and Taiwan is timely to provide collective effort for the private sector to have a common front to address the economic transformation and sustainable development goals. As the Chamber, we have welcomed both public and private partnership collective efforts on post-COVID-19 economic recovery measures and plans to restore the economic development and inclusive economic growth that benefits all. In the immediate term, we have partnered with governments to manage the economic slowdown and reduce the impact of the economic crisis on the most vulnerable through relief and moral support. We are also implementing key programs on the proposed economic stimulus packages on trade-related policies to keep markets afloat and businesses functioning and help government in reopening of the economy gradually. We are working together with the stakeholders. Our key priorities in these efforts is to maintain core services while also designing and implementing effective social and economic policy responses to the pandemic and its aftermath. This includes measures to support social protection, food security and supply chains, and resilient markets that will be critical to managing the immediate and longer-term impacts. Our efforts are focused on the three core action areas of economic recovery, and that is increase the availability of finance for companies, stimulating demand and markets, and supporting employment and create jobs. So moving forward, and our commitment, the private sector is an essential partner in economic recovery. As a sector, we will continue to work with the government and other partners to support policy making that promotes economic response and recovery efforts. So helping the private sector to access capital and reestablish markets and global value chains will be vital for the country economic recovery processes. These pathways will provide longer-term economic recovery, including revitalizing export markets, accessing finance for trade and investment, and supporting human capital and job creation, including for women, youth, and SMEs. We will also carry on our advocacy programs to support free and open trade in order to stimulate a shared economic recovery. In this regard, we are in solidarity with the regional governments and partners in its pursuit to discuss several bilateral trade agreements. Facilitating responsible business models and greater value chain diversification will boost economic resilience and help protect against future economic shocks. The crisis also presents business and trade opportunities in manufacturing opportunities, joint ventures and partnerships, public-private partnership, and new market opportunities and business linkages. So collective partnership and collaboration in partnerships are at the heart of our development program. As the Chamber, we commit to work closely with partners, both the government and non-government, as we seek to address the impacts of the pandemic across the country. We are more effective when we work closely with others. Burden sharing, dialogue, and leveraging expertise will be critical to maximizing our collective impact. This is a particular imperative in the COVID-19 world. As private sector leadership, we call upon all the sector to develop a comprehensive post-COVID-19 recovery process and framework that is well-tailored, coordinated to facilitate business recovery. My name is Richard Ngatia, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry President and the Chairman of the Great Lakes Region Private Sector Forum, ICGLR, of 12 states of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ngatia. And now we have come to the last stage for today's event. we have a lottery for the winners to get Trade Insight Biweekly magazine for 1 year. We are going to draw 5 winners randomly from the audience name cards in present. Let's welcome Mr. Guan Zhili, Deputy Director General, Bureau of Foreign Trade, MOE, to draw the lucky guests.
Okay, so the award is a very useful magazine. It's not a ticket to Africa. But anyway, we think the knowledge is power. So let's see what's these 5 lucky winners. So the first winner is Dr. Lin, ATEF. So we just try to draw another person here. Thank you, Dr. Lin, for your generosity. The winner is 龙城科技公司庄贤文。Okay， 恭喜 ，Congratulations！ No， 你怎么丢进去？他会在一起找，稍等一下，我们一起。The second winner is 卡内基钻石科技赖先生哈，赖文豪，谢谢。
不在线，
没有在现场，
不在现场。那我们抽下一位。
OK， 好。OK， so 上宏国际实业公司林荣贵先生。Congratulations。华荣集团李佳怡小姐。在现场，好，恭喜。好 ，The next is 立德坊国际有限公司梁廷伟。Okay, the last win is 晋航股份有限公司钟文彩。OK，
现在我们请各位幸运的得主到台前来领奖，那一同合照，谢谢。对对，一起一年。这个灯。好，我帮你开一下，这个，对就可以了，对。
So we thank you.